got the northern lights, lights.
Baby, you just kick your feet up while I kick back. I roll one with you by my side.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo, because I am Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo. I am so excited to have, as you can see, a bunch of friends with me today, and that's because it is a bonus recap episode. We're talking about the season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It was a doozy, but we're going to try to keep it fun and light while we talk about it. Before we get started, though, I'm going to have everybody just go around and say a little bit about themselves. Hi, I'm your host. I didn't even, in case this is your first time joining us, I'm Nyemade, or that African butterfly. And I do a bunch of stuff on Instagrams, lives, and I do my podcast and YouTube, and that's a little bit about me. I'll go to, on my screen anyways, to the right, which is Reida.
Oh, hi, I'm Reida.
Reida, sorry, what?
You're fine.
I may have started drinking already, but it's Reida.
I hope so. I'm Reida. I am not anything on Instagram other than a huge follower of all the fan accounts and Bravo super fan type accounts. And so I'm a huge Bravo fan, have been watching since I was probably in my 20s, so too long. And just am happy to be included.
Awesome, thank you. Stephanie?
Hi.
Yeah, Stephanie.
Okay. Hey, everyone, I'm Stephanie. I run Stephanie TV, a small account, and I just follow all the fan accounts as well. And I've been following Bravo since Real Housewives of OC. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll do Elle next.
Hey, I'm Elle. I'm Housewives and Chit Chat on Instagram and TikTok, and I have a show, House of Murasaki, coming to Roku TV on Nosy Bystanders TV network that premieres on Tuesday. And it is a lifestyle show curated around being a housewife, because I'm also Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo, and I've been tapped in since the first season of the OC. So thank you for having me.
That's cool. I didn't know about the show. That's awesome.
Yeah,
congrats.
It's an all Black network, so you know.
Okay, and Shataiya?
Hi, I'm Shataiya. I am Sincerely Shataiya on Instagram. My account is kind of Bravo, kind of pop culture, and I also have a pop culture / Bravo podcast called Sincerely Shataiya as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then Brie and Lauren.
I'm Brie. This is LP. We're 2/3 of Boy Meets Bravo podcast. Our other third is my husband, Desmond. He kind of puts a cap on the number of Bravo shows he watches every week. So he's not here today. But we're excited to be here. We watch all the things, have been watching all the things for so long. So excited to get into it.
Yeah, thank you. What was that, LP?
It's really great to meet everybody. Excited to talk Real Housewives.
I'm so excited. People who get it.
And I have to point out, thanks for bringing the diversity for us, LP. It's so funny because we were talking a little bit earlier about, but many of us growing up in predominantly white spaces and being used to being like the only brown face in a sea of white. So it's like, we feel for you that it's a little different. You feel comfortable. We still know you feel a little bit, but we love it. So thank you.
Yeah, no, excited to be here, ladies. Thank you for welcoming me.
Absolutely. And then Lauren?
Hey, I'm Lauren. I am a Bravoholic as well. I love watching it, been watching it forever. And I'm super fans. Like, I didn't even realize, but like, I'm fans of your podcast and your TikToks. And I don't really post anything, but I do post reactions. And I used to live tweet, but I don't have Twitter anymore. But my TikTok is Lauren_Isa_magic.
Perfect. And I always tell myself I'm going to get into live tweeting. So I usually have like so much to say, but then I get into watching it. And like the few times that I do say that I'm going to, then I get really distracted. It's a whole thing. So
I take notes because I do the recap. And so I can't take notes, watch the show, and live tweet. And so I'll normally pop in if it's like something like, did you catch that? Like, I have to get it out now.
I think I can like semi-live tweet, like with like Love is Blind, because I'm really into that and I want to talk about it the whole time I watch it. So like I think I can do it with Love is Blind.
Raven is a gold digger.
Ooh, Reida.
We can't even get started on that. I'd be talking for an hour just about this last. Ooh, maybe I'll do. I mean, it's not Bravo, but we might have. Maybe I'll do a Love Is Blind recap. All right, but speaking of Bravo, so this was Beverly Hills, and this season was. Let me say, first of all, we went into this season with so much more social media than we normally do, because before we even saw the first episodes, there were all these allegations about what Kathy said, what happened in Aspen. So we were already like going in it, like ready for this knockdown show out. So I think that's also what made the season feel longer, is that we had to wait so long for the thing we wanted to see the most, and it was at the end. So we were like, all right, get through everything else. But there was some interesting stuff that happened before that, so I want to talk about it. I feel like the season, like the drama first began with everybody wanting to dig back up what happened with Crystal and Sutton. So because they were out, and Crystal mentioned that like what she said was dark, but didn't want to say what she said. And I understood it better at the reunion when she said the whole concept of the conversation, the feel of it was dark, but they were really focused in on that dark word and really wanted to like rehash that. I feel like especially Kyle and Giselle. What did you guys think? Like, what was your read on that?
For me, I felt like I understood maybe if it was like maybe making a scene to bring it up, because I feel like, Giselle, I thought we got through this, right? And I feel like almost they wanted to make it seem like, are you guys really friends? Like they were kind of like testing it, you know? And I was grateful for the clarification at the reunion. Because also during the season with the Watch What Happens lives with Kyle and Crystal, you're wondering like what was said. But I almost felt like we're really bringing it to this season.
Right.
Yeah, it felt like beating a dead horse, but I also felt like it highlighted that silent box that is around racism, right? Like a white person can never say like, oh, like this was the Martin Luther King dream one day that all of these kids could play together. And like, wow, like I was able, no matter, like she comes from Augusta, Georgia. I don't know if any of y'all know about it, but baby, heavy down there. So to come from a space where you know her mama didn't raise her in an inclusive fashion like that, I can understand the pride of being like, wow, I was able to step outside of my box, culture myself, and now look at my baby. Like she has friends that it looks like the world, and like that means something to me. And it's like, why can't we say, oh, my kid is in the pool with an Asian kid and an Irish kid? Like that's what they are. Like what would you have preferred her to refer to them as? Like that's the part that made me scratch my head. Like what should she have said instead?
I think for me, I felt like where Crystal was coming from, she had just got like the night before, Sutton had just said, I don't see color. I don't want to talk about race. And she was comparing herself to dealing with racism for being like called a redneck. So I felt like Crystal was like, what is wrong with this lady? So the next day when Sutton was trying to, you know, clean up her mess, she was saying, you know, like, hey, look, you know, I don't see color. My daughter plays with all races of children. She was trying to kind of clean up the mess. And I felt like for Crystal, she was still kind of raw from the night before and felt like Sutton was like, it was just like digging her like foot deeper into her mouth. Like it was
giving caucasity. And I don't even think that Sutton realized it was happening.
Exactly.
In such a way. Yeah.
That's what I think too. I don't think that Sutton she didn't have like the language to talk about it in the way that Crystal needed to hear it, especially in that, like, just like you said, Crystal was still too raw from it. Nothing that Sutton could have or would have said would have been fine for her in that moment.
Absolutely.
I think it just hit wrong at the wrong time.
And they didn't have any like life experience built up yet together as friends to like understand where their perspectives were coming from and like why Sutton maybe felt like she should say something like that to Crystal. And but I agree with you. It's like, why are we dragging this into season 2? Right.
What's worse is I think that Crystal tried to save herself in that conversation by saying, no, it got really dark. And even though she felt that, right? Like this is no fault of Crystal because we've all been in BWI spaces, right? She's like, no, this is what I meant. Like, and when Garcelle was like, I feel like you would have said that, like, are you that girl anyway? I would be like, well, no, I don't think I would have. But she said some things that it made me feel some type of way.
Right.
Right? Is that fair? That's fair.
That's definitely fair. I think for me, my understanding of Sutton comes from occupying the southern spaces in Georgia that Sutton has occupied. And yes, I've had the conversation of like, if you don't see color, then you don't see me. But I've also had to be real about the fact being in those areas that I've had white people say to me, like, I don't see color, like you're my sister. Like, you know what I mean? And then you take that, okay, I understand what you're saying. Let me tell you why this sentence is problematic. And then we move forward. But I know so many people that haven't left that area. And to them, they're genuinely complimenting you. And then you add Sutton's age to it, where I don't see color used to be a compliment. You know what I mean? So it was like, I understand both sides, but Crystal definitely comes from a more progressive space. She's a lot younger than Sutton. So those things were corrected by her age. So I get Crystal being like, right, I don't see color. And I get Sutton being like, I just complimented you. What's the problem?
Well, it's that hard space where you have, it's, for me, the hardest space navigating is that space where there are people who mean well, right? Because when you deal with overt racism, it's easy to be like, that person's bad. Like we can all universally agree that that person saying hateful things is bad. But when you deal with someone who is throwing microaggressions at you, but they don't understand why it's a dig and they're coming from a good place, then when you try to correct it, if they're open-minded, great, you can, have those conversations. But some of them are really closed-minded to it. And they're like, no, I'm not going to let you say that I'm a racist or I'm blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we're not saying you are, but we're saying like this, we're trying to tell you why this is wrong or why this is a microaggression. And it's almost harder to have those conversations because you don't want to offend an ally or potential ally, except that they don't realize that if they're throwing phrases out there, you're actually not really an ally. But they don't get why they're not an ally. And it's just, for me, it's always been just so difficult having those, especially as I mentioned earlier, growing up in a predominantly white space, like that was most of my surroundings. I wasn't surrounded by racist white people. I was surrounded by very nice white people who threw.
If you cut us open, we bleed the same.
So I was surrounded by that. So it's hard because you know that they mean well and you don't want to make them upset, but you also don't want them to continue saying these things are actually harmful.
Yes. But I do love Crystal and Sutton's budding friendship. And
everybody should be paired up like that. I love it too.
I love that they cleared it up. And I feel like they're consistently having these conversations. I feel like she's having these conversations with Garcelle and she's learning, and they had moved on and they just wanted to harp on that. And in that entire scene, which was like a repeat for the reunion, was they invalidated what she was saying. They didn't even, it was like they were listening to respond. They weren't listening to understand in any way. But
no, not at all.
I didn't understand why like Kyle was making it her mission to dig into this deeper, right? It was
dig into Rinna.
Yeah.
I think part of it is because Kyle and Garcelle had a similar thing as Sutton and Crystal. But as you can see, Sutton and Crystal talked about theirs, resolved it, and moved on and have a great friendship. Kyle and Garcelle never really quite reached that. But you can tell just by the way Kyle is dealing with the situation, I feel like you can tell why they never really reached that, because I don't think Kyle understands to the level that Sutton does. And she still doesn't quite get it. She wants to, but she doesn't. And that's also why she's still defensive of it. Like when I said there are people who mean well, but are on two different sides, there's a Sutton and there's a Kyle, unfortunately. And again, she doesn't necessarily mean it badly. And she's not trying to come from a bad place. Right. It's just that she doesn't fully get it. And so she is then trying to like still be defensive of like, why is this a bad thing? And I don't think she gets that Sutton, like why Sutton and Crystal are such good friends, but why she probably still feels a distance with Garcelle, because Garcelle gets that she doesn't get it. Like our
because
songs.
Kyle gives, I can't be racist. My husband is a minority. Like Kyle gives that. So you cannot teach her because fundamentally this heifer thinks like
It's okay.
I've birthed minority kids. Like I'm not. Also, hey, Kristen.
Yeah,
I mean,
before we
I was being a
continue
mom.
on-
I'm late to the party. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm actually gonna get Shataiya's opinion on this, and then we'll introduce Kristen and get yours, and then go to the next person. So Shataiya, do you have any comments about?
I agree.
Well, I know that you're a Kyle fan like I am, but I'm also one. But we're both one of those like we can admit when they're wrong. Like we're a fan, we can admit when they're wrong.
Yes.
And for me, with this whole type of situation, like Kyle, I do appreciate she made a post about learning and growth because that's what she needs is to learn and grow. Be open to it. You can't just say like, oh, I'm not racist, so I'm not going to learn anything else because you need to learn. We all need to learn constantly.
Yes, this topic falls into the Kathy versus Kyle topic that we're going to be talking about. So I'm just going to zip it until it's time for that.
I think Kyle in the Carlton tattoo moment was like, that wasn't an issue. That was her asking a question that got blown out of proportion. Kyle in this Crystal situation, Kyle was wrong.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. Also, I can't stand Carlton, and I feel
I don't like
every time someone suggests she comes back because
justice for Carlton, and
Justice
then
No.
like,
Justice for
she
Carlton.
tried it for
Listen,
she tried it
everyone-
with those names and like being
Hey.
upset at people made a face, but like also justice for Carlton.
She was with it. And I also feel like, listen, everyone, despite, you know what, I'm not going to say that because I can't back that up with Diana, which I was going to say
everyone deserves a second season. Yeah,
That's a lie.
everyone does it.
That's a lie.
tell you,
Diana does it, and
Catherine-
neither does Carlton.
Catherine Edwards deserved another season.
I can compare. I can complete that one. Like Catherine gave shade. Catherine gave storyline, and she wasn't afraid to be the new girl and mix it up with the girls. And she would even carry bones here and there. Like she really had it all, but she didn't sparkle, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
she had all the makings. Like she was the chicken noodle soup without no salt and pepper. Like it just wasn't like
It wasn't
that's your-
popping.
It just wasn't
Yeah.
popping.
Yeah.
So
But for the most part, I do think that people deserve a second season. But some people, like when they come in, first of all, I can't stand liars. And some people, when they come in with blatant lies, like Noelle on Beverly or on OC, like they have to go. Or when they come in like such an obvious fan that they're not even pretending to be open to stuff, like a Carlton. To me, like you don't need to stay. Like it's too much. But Kristen, thank you again for joining us, Kristen. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know, I am Philly Diva on Instagram. I started my Instagram post stories probably in mid-June. And for some reason, I got mixed up with this whole Diana, coming at me. Like, I tagged her, but I tag people all the time. I had 10 followers. I didn't really think she was going to come in my chats, but lo and behold, there she is. And, I hate to say the rest is history. I have a point of view that, like many of you, we watch reality TV, Housewives, and kind of tie the similarities into our own opinions and thinkings. And I just have a Philly mentality way I express mine, so people dig it. So
Kristen, we know you're
From
part
10
of the
to
dark
10K in one season, though. Baby ate us
Right.
up.
yeah, I mean, from 10 to 10K in one season, that might be my mantra. Thank you. Since I might have to take that one. Like I appreciate, the people digging me. Like I'm here for it. I'm with the shits. And that's pretty much
Perfect. Yeah. So I think the age difference too, it's interesting because I feel like Housewives is moving younger and I don't necessarily love it. I kind of like them older. I feel like Sutton though is like the best type of housewife because she's so unaware. And I accidentally forgot. I frequently forget to read. My bad. I accidentally forgot that the season really kicked off with her burglary. So we could talk about that. But
Dorit?
yeah,
Right.
But Sutton being so oblivious and being like, oh, I'm having trouble too getting my friend in from France. Like she's so oblivious to it, but like I love that. Like that's to me is how housewives should be. They should be super rich, super oblivious, super unaware.
Very much
But
so.
like Sutton is still open to learning. That's why you put in 1 or 2 young people in the group setting.
Can I just get a nod or just a finger if you're a Sutton fan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Stephanie. Ooh, I love it. Stephanie, I don't like Sutton.
I don't mind her, but I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. Last season with Sutton was too much for me. So, but I don't mind her. She's way better than the Fox Force 5. So
That's true. And I didn't love her last season either. She was very annoying. But I feel like for me, the redemption with her friending Crystal again this season, and compared to some others, I was like, you know what, Sutton, you're good.
We have no
I was judging
complaints.
you too harshly. You're fine.
You know,
Right.
she didn't break the curve. Like there's always that one student that's Garcelle who's setting the high curve, and we want everybody to be as gracious and lovely as her. No, she's our C student. You know, she gives what she's supposed to give, and you know, she's not going to rock the boat too much.
Yes. So speaking of Dorit, how many people think that the burglary really happened?
I do.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Like, did it really happen? Like, did
And
somebody
how many
break
people
her
think
glass?
that
Yes.
Well, no, how many people think that it was a setup, like an inside job?
Oh.
They knew what was up.
I think
Yeah, I just have way too many questions about that whole burglary thing. So I it's hard for me to speak on it because I understand that trauma is real, and I'm not trying to minimize whatever happened in her home around her children. That being said, I still just pieces seem weird to me in the investigation after. Oh my God, I hate this camera. In the investigation after it, and you know, all Jesus, and all of those other things. We may just have to handhold.
I have I could honestly teach a college course on why I think this was set up. Okay. So the first one is you have the full weight of the Beverly Hills PD behind you. Okay. And we have
They're going to get to that zip code.
and some could say like, oh, the police just didn't find any evidence. Here is what I find. Like, this is the biggest red flag for me, right? These people broke into her house, were in there for over 20 minutes. So it wasn't like super smash and grab with most robberies. You know, you like, we've all seen Set It Off. We've clocked this out. We know it. We're in and out. We're getting this. Okay. Forget leaving the phone, forget all of that. You're telling me that in this affluent neighborhood, these people were able to get their bags into a car, drive off. Again, you have the full weight of Beverly Hills PD, and not one ring cam, not one security system has given you a license plate to then begin to, we don't have any suspects. We don't have anything. Now, right after the insurance check was cleared, the 20 million debt to the casino was paid off. Now you could say, okay, cool. We use the insurance money to pay back what we owed as opposed to replenishing material things. And that would be a smart thing. But then when you add all of these things up together, it's like, you're lying to me. And then you add her security system was installed by Teddy's husband's company. And this is not the first time that Dorit and PK specifically have had issues with their security system installed by Teddy, i.e. Pop Smoke. And again, we can go into he shouldn't have put his location, but also the alarm system should have let him know that somebody was in the house. You see what I'm saying? So it constantly gives, we're playing.
But she didn't have it on, I think is part of the problem. Like, I don't think she actually had it set so that it would alert the away function or whatever. And I think that's part of the problem of why it's so strange how it all occurred.
Right, because your husband is out of town.
Exactly, your husband's out of town.
Right.
And she was like, I didn't set it because the children set it off. And when she said the children set it off, I was like, no, they don't. If you hit it to away and they're inside running around, or not away, you hit it to stay. They're inside running around. Nothing goes off. I have dogs. But that was the thing that was real.
The windows and the doors will go off.
Like you put them to bed so they wouldn't be running around.
Well, she says they get up in the middle of the night and the blah, 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 blah.
There's glass break sensors. With those type of doors, there are glass break sensors.
Absolutely.
That alarm didn't go off the moment that glass broke.
So also another thing, I listen to Jeff Lewis every day, and people in Beverly Hills have been getting robbed left and right. So for her not to have the alarm on is just
Like, come on, man.
Honestly, the fact that people have been getting robbed left and right is the only reason why I allowed the window that it was legit. Because like everything you guys mentioned, especially with the security and all that, like to me, it doesn't make sense. Like when we have people making a quarter of your income who have much better security system, like why would you not have with all of those valuables better security? Why don't you have a ring light? Why don't you have all of that? So I'm just like, it's super fishy to me. But then I'm like, well, a bunch of other super rich people have been getting robbed also. So maybe it's not just them. Yeah,
I agree with that.
If anything,
she knew, and I'll leave it there.
They
They planned it.
Agree.
That makes a little more sense, honestly.
Agree. PK did all that.
It wasn't there. It made sense.
But it was really real
He kept his
for
wife out of
covered
it.
by insurance.
I like
Children
that.
were okay. You can go in
Absolutely.
there, smash
He's
and
out of
grab.
town.
Let's
and
pay
he
this
knew.
debt. Don't hurt my
And
wife.
he
Don't hurt
and
my
he probably,
children.
of course, didn't want to explain to
Allegedly.
her. Can't explain it to her. She's gonna ask too many
Allegedly.
questions. Do what you got to do.
Allegedly across the board.
Oh yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly, I would
I'm sorry.
agree.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly, if what you said was true, I would allegedly agree with you. Allegedly.
That part. Reida, by the way, what's your IG name?
Oh, at RLW_life.
RLW, that's what it is.
Real life. I like it.
All right, so but really, I feel like that's all Dorit really gave us this season. Was there anything else?
She pulled it
He's
out.
getting something for his mama. That's it. That's all.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, she's
Move along.
yeah,
She
we'll need to
definitely
talk
pulled
about
it out
And the
because she was
fashions
supposed to
weren't
get
even
demoted to friend
fashionable.
of before the break-in.
Mhm.
That's the whole thing. Like, had we not heard
Oh.
that rumor that she was getting demoted, I don't think we would have questioned the robber. Like, I really don't think people would have been so skeptical because we've seen people do nasty things, i.e., Brooks has cancer. Like, we've seen people do nasty things. So I don't want to, you don't want to say, oh yeah, that's not true. But at the same time, oh my God, I'm never going to use this iPad again.
This camera wants us to know that these degrees won't fool us, okay?
We are not fooled.
But I feel sympathy for her, and I feel sympathy for that situation because even if the robbery was a setup, allegedly, it was done because somebody's reckless with their money,
Right.
which is,
is
which is a pattern of behavior,
allegedly.
alleged. You know what I mean? So
And I
Yeah,
think the part that like made it also very unbelievable was the soap opera level of like dramatization in her one-on-ones and her confessionals, like the almost Kim Kardashian CGI like tears.
She was quoting
Lauren, I love you. I love you.
Lauren,
It was like clutching her pearls and
yes.
the holding of the
Safe
cell
here.
phone.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had a That's So Raven moment when she said allegedly the money, not doing the money right. And I'm thinking allegedly, which causes divorce, allegedly what Erica said on stage at BravoCon, allegedly, like it's going.
And
I don't
then
know.
factor in
When you
being
put them all
blacklisted
together.
at Louis because she was selling her stylist giving clothes allegedly. Like it's again, full weight of the Beverly Hills PD. You're telling me that these people got away from her house to wherever they were going and they avoided traffic cams too. Like forget ring cams. Like the detective couldn't go pull up the traffic cam at the end of the block.
corner.
Like
Not
you
only that,
have nothing.
ma'am, they know where you live. PK just got a DUI. Like, are we?
Yes, and got escorted home.
and got
So with
escorted home.
Dorit,
Who didn't tell Kyle?
Right.
so with Dorit, we get that she also her only other moment was she's getting flowers for her mama, which I think is a great transition into Garcelle. And this season, in which
homeless,
she's
not
got
toothless. Sorry.
Oh yes, homeless, not toothless.
No,
Well,
yeah, she
oh,
did
and-
that.
That's a whole bunch of other people with that.
and that's so chic with
We'll give her that.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's
Yeah.
so chic.
Well, that was a friend of moment.
Friend of, yeah.
Like,
Drag her.
There it is.
I'm
so
sorry.
so with Garcelle, I thought she had a good season. Garcelle is always wonderful to me. I do think sometimes though people, not that they overly I don't think she's a saint. I think she's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think she's fabulous, but I think she does a little bit of pot stirring herself. Like the way
Force
she calls out Kyle
multiplier.
for it, she does it too.
I think
force
she's better
multiplier.
at it. She's better at it than Kyle. And
Yes,
that's why it's like less
definitely.
noticeable.
Fancy stirs the pot.
Yeah, Fancy absolutely stirs the pot. She keeps the mess going. She asks the right questions. And even when she says she's not going to bring it to the table, she brings it to the table. So but she does it with such a twinkle in her eye. You know it's for the job and it's not malicious. So
well, and I think she doesn't try to hide her hand. She throws a rock and then stands there and sees where it lands. Like she's not trying to duck and hide.
Because at the end of the day, she's not scared of none of these joints. Like, and I appreciate that about her because no, she doesn't have Sutton money and had the audacity to ask her where she got her money from. Like she sweetly doesn't care. Like,
and I can say, Kristen can attest. For BravoCon, the fans love Garcelle. Like, when I mean we love Garcelle, I fought for my friggin' life just to get a side picture with Garcelle. Like, the fans are there, and I think they're even heavier on her.
Oh, can we pause really quick to talk about BravoCon? Because some of you went, some of us were watching I was watching everybody's scenes from it, and I found it very interesting. Like, it's really clear who the fans love, like the ones who got chanted, the ones who got boos, the ones who got polite applauses. So I loved, especially was at the Legends Ball where everyone was on the stage, hearing the different reactions to the different casts as they come in. I thought it was very interesting. But like, can you guys share anything, any inside scoops or what it was like there at BravoCon?
I really loved it. The first day was really exhausting, but I got to meet a lot of my like Bravo Lebs, right? And then Saturday, I went to the Watch What Happens Live. I went to that night. I think it was like the BFFs and Squash That Beef. And then we went to like the hotel after. I'll just say that my favorite person that I got to sit with and have a drink with, and I am shocked. Shannon Bedore.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? The hell? Shannon is my best friend in my head.
And
I love the different reactions to that because one person is appalled and one person is excited.
I love Shannon.
I didn't know how the night was going to go. I felt almost that the after hours thing I went to was like a compliment because it was all the blondes. It was the Taylor, the Whitney, the Lisa Barlow, Shannon Bedore, the Bali. You know, I did get to meet a lot of them, right? I get it. Like Lisa Barlow's husband, John, he's kind of a zaddy. I get that. But the person I had the best conversation with and who was like the realest and most chill and down to earth, Shannon Bedore.
I still think I would like Shannon.
That's
what
so
you think,
funny.
Shataiya?
I said that's so funny because you wouldn't think like her first season on the show, she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes.
That's the type of cuckoo I love.
Yes.
Because like, yes, tell us, Shannon. Like, tell us. Like, I fucking love Shannon Bedore. A fucking what is it, Grey Goose and soda in a tall glass? Like, yes, let's do
Rita,
it.
why are you, what is that face? I love it. You
like
handle
Shannon
it.
Bedore, like I watch all of them, so I've watched her since she's been on there, and like
she's a mess.
Shataiya, she was crazy. Like I agree. The first season, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And like obviously her marriage was imploding. Now that we know, like that's what was going on there. But for her to be in real life, one of the realest ones you met, I'm kind of like. I'm not saying that's changing my opinion. It's not like I hate her. She's just there for me.
Side note, she sat with us on like the cushions. She sat with us and drank with us. That's why I have multiple pictures of doing multiple.
Now that I can believe because she loves
saying the F word. She's like, I've been effing working all night. They'll never let us off, but I'm living. And she was right by Taylor, who was all in pink with like the lips, and she was giving too. It was like, I'm from Oklahoma originally, so it was like, don't go in Oklahoma on your ass. But I'm telling you, Shannon Bedore, cool as shit, so chill.
She seems like she would be. Oh, for you guys, like if you could have drinks with any of the housewives or actually anyone on Bravo, who would you have drinks with?
So I waited in line with Ashley. Now, is that her name, Ashley? She's the new chick on Summer House. We were in line together getting drinks.
Which one? The Lindsay Doppelganger?
No. She's
that's
the
Winter
Asian
House.
chick with the tattoos. She's the one that's Jason.
Asian Rachel.
Rachel.
Oh,
Rachel.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, you guys. Wait.
I love her.
Side note though, speaking of Rachel's, did you guys know Raquel from Beverly Hills or from
Yes, is
Vanderpump?
named Rachel.
Her name was really Rachel? I did not know that.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Oh no, I didn't know.
Somebody, Bravo and Cocktails may have said it. I don't remember who said it first, but yes, her name's Rachel.
I just found out.
It makes more sense than anything in the world to
It
me.
really does. It really does.
When did she was she like Rachel until middle school? And
No,
then
she was Rachel. She used Rachel till Vanderpump
She got
was
cast.
friend.
I'm gonna
And
say
then
it.
she was
Probably
Raquel.
Stage name. Raquel is her stage name.
She's stage name like on those pageants and stuff. I think she was Raquel for the pageants.
I kind of love that actually.
Now, how you get
Okay.
Rachel? How you get Raquel out of Rachel though?
Because that's the whole
Imagination.
I mean,
I
no,
think
sorry.
it's
I didn't mean
who
that.
you want to believe, who you want to be. I don't know.
So here's a little bit of tea
Rachel
about
upside
me.
down and put a cap on it. I don't know.
Did that. Like,
You changed your name?
I would go by my first name is actually like y'all see is Kristen Dion's. When you see Philly Diva is Kristen Dion's Bravo King. My first name is actually Kristen Dion. Like 2-part name, like Mary and Betty Sue. So as I used to go through, like as I was in dance school, I would audition as Kristen Dion because I just thought that sounded
fluent.
And it does.
Yeah.
Well, my mama named me after Dionne Warwick because
I love it.
she played cards with her one night backstage at a concert, and Auntie Dionne was the same in the 70s as she is now. She will cuss you out, say, get the fuck out, or stay in here. You fucking up my head rub. She played cards with her, and that was just like my mom said that was the best moment of her young 20s life, and hence Kristen Dion is born.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to cut it off. But so you
a stage name though, like my real name is Leah, so Elle, just the letter, but like Rachel and Raquel, like them.
This doesn't
God
make
bless.
sense.
God bless.
Bambi has to grow and learn.
I just love the Bambi-eyed bitch. Like, it's just, I know people don't like Lala, but I just love that insult.
I mean, that was
a moment.
Spot on. I don't know what else.
So you were saying that Rachel, though, from Winter House is fun.
She's fun. She's cool to drink with. You know, she didn't mind me, you know, like having fun with us. I would like to have a drink with her just on a regular. And she's very interactive on social media. And I like her and Jason. I like that flirty relationship. I like going to her house. I wouldn't mind, you know, having a party with her. But if I had to have a drink socialized with anybody, honestly, I'm going for the experience of Miss Kathy Hilton. Like her. I'm going for an entire experience because hello, who dumps a whole serving of caviar on a baked potato for lunch?
Like, we got to try it.
I would want to have drinks with someone who I know notoriously has loose lips. Like, I want someone who is going to tell me all the tea about everyone and not care.
Oh, I would have. Then I would pick Tamara.
That's who I'd want.
Tamara's your girl. Absolutely.
Well, listen, I have one that's probably not popular, but I have questions. And when I have questions, I need the answers. I'm going with Dorinda. The reason I'm going with Dorinda is because she said something in season 9, I believe, that has never been discussed again. And I need to know the answer. What really happened with Sonia and her ex-husband? Was she cheating in the south of France? Did he marry her best friend? I need answers.
Need answers.
I feel like one too many drinks with Dorinda, and she's gonna be like, I mean, you know what I mean, sister. Like it's going to go from fun to racist really quickly.
Real quick.
And I'm scared for you. I'm scared.
She's gonna bring out the microaggressions quick.
So,
all right.
LP and Brie, who would you have drinks with?
Besides one Dixon,
yes,
that's hilarious.
I actually would love to hang with Frank Catania.
That was going to be mine. Having Frank Catania.
Frank was like, he was having a good time.
Can we just say, I have to say something about Frank. Please don't cancel me. Like, I get it. He's kind of like fun, right? He is. But I feel like people forget that he has a problem. Like, people are like, oh, Frank is so wonderful. Frank cheated on his pregnant wife through their whole
We do forget, and we forgive him.
Oh, shit. Don't
Frank,
forget.
like, recently, like, and sometimes he wasn't even like court stuff. Like,
he lost his license. He can't practice anymore. No, Frank is a whole problem. He's toxic masculinity in a package.
Thank you. Thank
Right?
you.
Not LP and Brie will be females by the end of the night. I mean, you know how females are. Females.
Females.
I feel like Frank would like, I don't know, hit a woman. I just can't with that one, then I wouldn't be alone.
Right, but no,
Allegedly.
didn't they kind of allude to it though during the season that he was a bit
Yeah.
aggressive? I feel like we
Yes.
kind of forgot, but they kind of alluded to that he might have.
Come
hit
on, that and
Sure.
little man Joe Gorga, alleged, but I'm gonna go with straight up opinion. Who punches holes in walls? Little Joe
Gorga
Gorga.
has a lot going on over there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I get Frank is fun, but like, I don't get the overpraise of Frank because I feel like he's a
Right.
problematic man. And I feel like though that men get to do this though. Like
Yes.
it's so annoying, not to sound like a ultra blah feminist, but
As
it's
you
so
should.
annoying that they can be horrible people, crack a few jokes, and we're all like, ha, 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 it's okay.
I
You
having
know,
a bad
always say
day.
one
Okay?
slightly wrong thing, and forever she's wrong.
Bill
Forever
Aiden.
she's evil.
Bill
Oh,
Aiden.
Bill Aiden.
Bill Aiden.
Yeah.
Oh God.
He was a real charmer, and I get it.
Damn,
Because
so
he
we
was by
love
Jennifer
the
Sue.
Well, I mean, that
And
explains
he's
the
a good looking
cheating.
man.
I'll give it. We got to interview Frank on the podcast one time, and he was he was very chill. And you want somebody with loose lips, man.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean,
All those
good
Jersey
call.
boys
I
are
do
loose
think
lips.
he would probably be fun. I do think he would probably be fun to have a drink with. And I'm not
He's
saying
trying
that
to take
people
him to the
should
strip club.
forever, right? And I'm not saying that people should forever be held to the standard of like their weakest or their baddest moment, especially if they've changed. But his lawsuit was fairly recent, so he hasn't changed that much.
But did
So I'm
you
just
see
like-
how the kids kind of last season said
Let's
that
call a
to
thing a
him
thing.
at the restaurant? And I was like, oh, I guess
Right.
some
Even
shit has
I
not
saw that,
changed.
and I
No,
don't
the
watch
kids
Jersey.
definitely have not forgiven. Like you can tell there is definitely I don't want to say a layer of resentment, but
Yeah.
it's
Especially with
something
Gabby.
there.
Yeah, especially with his daughter, you can definitely feel like when she was moving back home, I think for the summer or after
Yeah,
school,
yeah, that was it.
she was gonna have to move into the house with Frank. Like she was not vibing with that idea at all.
Right. And to me, that speaks volumes. But anyways, we got way off track. Back to the West Coast, back to Beverly Hills. We were talking about Garcelle. We think that she's wonderful, fabulous. The whole thing with her son and the cursing. I know, okay, first of all, let me say it by saying I think it is gross that Erica said it. I got that she was drunk. I do think
I've been drunk a lot, cursing.
I know I'm going to sound like a Kyle apologist in this moment, but like, I'm not saying it's right that they laughed about it. They absolutely should not have. Let me be clear. I don't think it's right that they laughed about it. But I can say, like, if I'm drinking, first of all, everything's funny. And then someone just said to me, like, this person just told this person to shut the F up or whatever. Like, I would probably laugh too and crack up. And I know that he's 14. And again, I'm not saying it's right. But I'm saying when she says we didn't see it, we just heard it and thought it was funny, considering that they were drunk too, I kind of get it. And I'm glad, though, that she apologized in the reunion because it is wrong because he is 14.
Did
But-
she know? Did she say sorry at the reunion?
I
I just
think
want you to know because I
That's
know
true.
she said
That
that's
she
all bad.
acknowledged it. She acknowledged it and said it was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah,
But that's right. She didn't apologize, which she
she
needs
didn't
to.
actually apologize.
But what are your opinions, A, about Erica saying it, and then the other four's reaction to it?
Let me know
I
what
think
you know.
Erica saying it was extremely on brand for who Erica has shown us to be. I don't play about kids. Like, and also like I'm not my little one, I'm not the like, oh, come over, have a play date. I really don't even like kids. So I don't know how I ended up in this boat, but I don't play about them. I'm the mom at the
Right.
playground, like, oh no, hold on, let's find your mom. Don't eat that. Like I don't play about kids. I don't see how Dorit, even in that moment, like her saying, oh, he's getting it for his mama. Like, no, for me, that would have been like, girl, that's a 14-year-old. Like,
That's true.
let's reel it back in. You know what I mean? And then I could even have a little bit more understanding for Kyle and Dorit laughing at it if Dorit had gotten up at the party, went to another corner and said it to drunk Kyle. For those parents to be sober, sitting on a couch, laughing at a 14-year-old being cussed at by a grown woman, black, white, or otherwise, was really gross. And it would have never been Jagger. It would have never been Phoenix. It would have never been Portia. It would have never been Alexia. And it would have never been Sophia. We would have shut production down. So to me, it went back to the you don't see our babies. And I think that's the scariest thing about raising a little Black boy in America. You always see them, no matter what, as this grown, they can take it, strong back Toby, if you will, like, you know what I mean? And so it's
studies
like,
have shown even at like the age of 5, little Black boys are seen as a threat and as seen as older than they actually are, and that carries throughout their lives.
and that is
And
a
I think-
14-year-old baby. Like that
And I
should never
think
happen.
part
And it
of
should
it
never been laughed
also
at.
is that because he appears physically the same size as his older brother Oliver, did this heifer just, I'm sorry, sometimes I really do need to collect myself, did this woman just approach for a threesome, called his wife a baby mama, and just disrespected Garcelle's family in those moments?
Yes.
I have to look at it in totality. I'm looking at her as, I'm saying this in a biblical term, a whoremonger. No. I'm saying this in a biblical term as a whoremonger, somebody who's looking to lust after body after body after body. And in that moment, she was lusting after a physical body, a physical form that appeared as a man. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not like, it was the sexualizing of a child that nobody's really like. She's talking to him as a man. Part of what you're saying, like she's addressing him and looking at him as a man. And the fact that really wasn't discussed, it bothers me because you still see him as a man. Like, no, it was wrong. It was wrong on a lot of levels. It was wrong.
And you're the same person who lost your crap in Amsterdam.
Thank you.
When Eileen was like, "Oh, you did it because your son is a cop," and then it was leave my fucking like, and all she did was say, "Your son is a cop."
Your son is a cop.
So it's the double standard.
Stephanie, how did you feel about the whole scene?
Yeah. My issue with Kyle and Dorit is it's not just the laughing. If it was just that, I'd still have a problem with it. But it was the fact that they kept making excuses for Erica the whole season. The whole time. So they knew that she had cursed at Garcelle's son, and they kept trying to make Garcelle feel bad about having a problem with Erica's drinking. So it's like, okay, so you know that she's gotten drunk and wasted. She cursed out somebody's child. She tried to hit on somebody's child. She got sloppy drunk at this event, and you're still trying to make it as if Garcelle just pulled this out of nowhere and that she's causing a problem for no reason. The minute you curse at somebody's son, they should have been on Garcelle's side, and they should have been like, Erica, you need to pull it together. But the fact that they kept trying to go to bat for Erica, Kyle especially, harder for Erica than she did for her own sister. That just right there, I was like, I'm done with Kyle. Like, there's no like making up.
But that's because Kyle knows that EJ was trying to make this season inadmissible in court. And I believe that with my whole heart. All of last season's footage was pulled. So if every episode you say, oh my God, I'm so lit, I'm so drunk, I'm on medicine, this is no longer admissible in court. And Kyle knows that. And so within so many words, I feel like it's like, yes, your son, but like she's fighting for her case, which is still a problem. I'm not justifying it at all, but I feel like that particular issue is why Kyle fought for Erica, because I think
that makes a lot of sense.
It begs the question: what do the faux fox fur 5, whatever, have on one another? Because this deal, this pact that they made, including Teddy, John's daughter, and we don't need to talk about her. Whatever pact you guys made, one, it's imploding, as we know. Like, y'all's group chat isn't grouping right now. I don't know somehow how Diana got a pass to be in that, but it's probably because Mauricio wants to sell or buy her a house. But whatever the pact is between them, that they decided the year that they were like, we're getting rid of Vanderpump, they keep sticking beside it. We can see the cracks. We can see Kyle being like, but you can't say that, even though Kyle was also thinking Halloween, my Netflix show, all of these things, I have to say something. But for us to see, the thing with Dorit and Erica and how Lisa blindly, literally rides for her. Like, I'm a stick beside her. I'm like, who knows who about what? Are we not?
I don't think it's that they have
whatever it is.
I don't think that they have a pact. I think that they all have enough dirt on each other and knows how low the other people are willing to go. That they are just scared. Like, on some level, they're like,
if they were in a cult, collateral.
Right. Yeah, because they know, like, if I say this about her, she's gonna trump me with this, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. And I think they're just scared of each other because they know the other person will throw their business out there, and none of their hands
why
are
don't they
clean.
call it a thing? Lisa Rinna's a hoarder. Her house is
None of their
they
hands
never
are
film in
clean.
there.
Yeah. Well,
now
Why?
they're selling pieces of Harry's they have that property in Canada that Harry inherited from his family, and now they're like allegedly selling pieces of that property off.
Buy one.
I mean, it
So,
seems like they're giving it away. It gives desperate, so you might be in the market.
So the other thing with Garcelle that was really major this season was the social media side of it, which we didn't really see play out on the show, obviously, but those of us in social media saw it. For anyone listening or watching who didn't, there were a lot of threats against Garcelle's son after the incidents with Diana. And so that's really something that she had to deal with. A lot of people thought that Diana was the one behind the bots. And Garcelle said she was doing some research, but hasn't come back to saying like who it was. But the whole thing was disturbing. And if you watch the reunion, Diana was like, well, you should have taken out my name. Well, who cares about your name?
Pencil it. Erase, pencil it. What's worse is when Andy says we did an investigation on the things that Kathy said, and Garcelle said, who did that? And he was like, oh, like HR, but you guys didn't want to investigate bots or just a grown woman 50 yelling at a minor. Like that's also an HR.
That's an
violation.
HR issue.
Yeah, I don't understand how
They
HR
gotta
didn't
call it
investigate the
a
bots.
thing.
HR
They gotta
definitely should
call
have
it a
investigated the bots. Yeah.
Is that because it was like after filming?
I would imagine that they feel like they don't have legal responsibility or anything over things happening on their job site. Like those, the yelling at the child happened on their job site.
But that was also on camera, so it can't be disputed.
Right.
So
That's
like,
exactly what I was going to say.
I can understand a degree of like, they may have parameters that we only investigate things that happen on job site. If it happens
That's a
off
valid point.
they have no
Such a
liability,
good point.
you know?
But to me, for you, like, okay, the thing that bothers me about Diana past the obvious is, right? She always wants to tell us how intelligent she is. She always wants to tell us that she's multilingual. She always wants to tell us that she is for minority rights and she's donated to Haiti, this, that, and the third. For you to sell us all of those things about yourself, right? And then not understand how out of line you bitching about your name being in the post when someone said to this little boy, if it wasn't for your white daddy, you would have a knee on your neck too. Like somebody who is supposed to be an ally is like, child, fuck my name, because I know who I am and who I'm not. My investors,
That would be the last thing I would be worried about.
Yeah.
I'd be worried about the knee on the neck, not my name.
Thank you. And I would be standing in solidarity with you. This would be a joint legal effort. I would be like, let me extend my team. Now, I've heard that allegedly Garcelle got the answer. She knows who the investigation is done.
That's
allegedly.
what I heard too.
I heard that too.
And she's just not, putting it out there.
I think that's smart though, because she knows we would.
Yeah, she's better than me though, honey, because I'm giving it.
It would be over.
And I
it
think
would
that's
have
why she's not,
never
'cause she
been a
knows
day.
It would be over to whoever that person is who is responsible. We know who it is. There is no hiding from the Bravo sphere. Like we would. Not we as in personally Kristen Dion, because that's not my thing.
And it's not my thing, and I'm not on the dark web. Thank you.
I am not on
feel
the dark web. Despite what, that heifer said about me. The camera wants the hat boxes. I'm not sure why. But I'm not on the dark web. But no, I think that Garcelle is being gracious as always, letting this person live, and really just kind of hopefully going to use this for next season, perhaps.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Sheree or Cherie. Sheree.
I love Sheree.
Going, oh my gosh.
Why was she there?
She wasn't even
there for a money grab.
No backup, no nothing. You taking pictures with Diana, talking about some happy birthday.
Thank you.
What is going
She
on?
was there for a money grab. I'm telling
What
you.
in the
I know
quad?
she
She
was
was on
grab.
Hollywood Exes. She was popping.
She would thank you. Thank you. Thank
She was amazing
you.
on Hollywood Actors.
We had an
So
expectation.
do you think she should get a second season?
No.
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 Universal no on that one.
She
All
failed.
right, so
She failed.
let's talk about Erica a little bit, because and it was very interesting how that point that you made about trying to make everything inadmissible in court. It does kind of explain the behavior a little bit more, like the I'm so drunk, I'm so whatever. The thing with Erica for me is that, like, it's unfortunate that she made herself so unlikable with the way she was on Instagram, that even though she's innocent, people still are more mad at her than they are at Jen Shaw, who actually did the crime. And like from the beginning, I've always said that I thought she didn't know. I just never felt like Tom was the type who's going to let Erica in on any of his business and what he's doing. So I've always thought she didn't know, and I'm glad that she's been found innocent. But the way she handled it, and the way she was so like, she would have been just better off saying, I don't want to talk about it. Instead, she said, ask me questions, and then bit off the head of anyone who asked her questions. So she should have just said,
me.
right. She should have just said, I don't want to talk about it. But it's interesting. So it's, for me, it's almost sad seeing her like this. But at the same time, I find it also interesting because I still, I was going to say I'm still a fan of hers, but it was real hard this season to say that. I don't know that I can still say that. She's on pause with me right now. I don't hate her, but she's on ice with me right now. But before that, like even last season, I was like, I get the ice queen thing. Like, I feel like people who are a fan of hers should recognize from the beginning she's been an ice queen. So why would you think in a moment of like horribleness or trouble or whatever, why would you think she would suddenly become warm and fuzzy instead of digging deeper into their ice queen? Most people dig deeper into those parts of their personalities.
Because this man stole from plane crash victims and people who got blown up from faulty gas, whatever in your street. I think if they like, yes, be an ice queen, be jaded, do whatever. If your heart is hardened, cool. But I think I at least thought that at some point humanity would seep through and you would, like you said, at least say like, whoa, that's a lot. I mean, we've all seen The Other Woman. We know that, oh, sign here, whatever, your hand, John Hancock ends up on things and you might not have known. The part that bothers me though is Erica is a 50-plus-year-old woman and you know how money works, you know what things cost. Like, I'm sorry, there's nothing in Erica's career that made her think, like, you look at all the past Roxy Harts and then you look at you. Like, at some point you have to be real about the fact that this shit don't make sense.
Now, do you think that had she behaved a little bit more humbly, she could have gotten the Coach Shaw treatment?
Yes, because the thing is, people love her
Coach Shaw
for like
just as guilty.
Exuberance. People loved her for the over the topness. And honestly, I feel bad for the fact that she's had to start over, even though like her starting over is way better than a lot of people's average day. So I'm not
humility,
that bad.
Had she had any humility, her starting over would have been
like this would have been a great storyline for her. We would all
remember Lori from the OC?
Oh yeah.
Had money. She lost all her money. She had money again, but she was honest about it. She wasn't cold about it. She wasn't, I don't give a F about anyone but me. And honestly,
Taylor Armstrong the same.
A hit dog hollers. If she didn't know about that money going in, if she didn't have any idea, then she would show real empathy. Then she would show.
Here, take the earrings.
Shit.
Well, here, like
I would donate those earrings so fast, but I donate those earrings like
with the quickness.
And I was just a guest on Mocha Minutes podcast discussing that last episode, and we touched on it. It's like they're not even super special earrings. Like, no offense, they're not especially beautiful. They're square diamond earrings, girl. Give them up. Give them up. Like,
and
why are
you
fighting
twice.
people? Like,
and you know it's blood money. Like, you know it's blood money.
Exactly. Blood money.
Like, they're literally blood diamonds. Give it up.
This is her personality. When she was drunk, she told the truth. I don't give a fuck about anybody else but me.
Exactly. And that's been the hard part, because I was an Erica Jane fan. Like, I was a fan of hers since she first came onto the scene. I admit it. I was. But like last season, watching her behavior, and then this season, she just really feels like she is the only victim. And I'm like, ma'am, you lived this life of luxury with blood money for years
on the
and
boat
years
named
and
The
years.
Illegal.
And then now that you have to start over, I'm supposed to feel bad for you when these people have been suffering for years trying to get this money that was owed to them. It's like trauma on top of trauma. And I'm like, I'm just done with her.
If we go back, right, taking this lens right now, and then you think of when LVP's brother died, when he lost his life, when her mom died, I wrote you, this is a note, and if you can't accept it, then you just can't accept it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't have empathy. I mean, I think we're all very aware of that's how she puts her cloak on. She's just hardened to everything. And I think if she'd had an ounce of it, as we've all said, the storyline might have been different, but like, I just don't think she could find it. I don't even know if she has it, but even if she had it, I don't think she found it. It was not there to find.
She had to go buy it.
Well, I think she just should have never opened the door. She should have just never opened the door for people to talk to her about it, because she doesn't deal with it well. So it makes her look worse. And the reason why Jen Shah gets such a pass at it, even like, people are still defending Jen Shah online right now, knowing she pled guilty.
And she admitted it in open court.
Admitted it in court that she is guilty, and people are still defending her. And that comes down to the fact that she isn't like asking questions. She just says I'm innocent and then doesn't want to talk about it and tries to move the subject to other things. So the viewers are like, okay, we just remember the fun Jen, the whatever Jen.
And
like,
she's fighting for her life here, and she loves her family, and she loves fucking mom's 401k. She doesn't need retirement.
Yeah, we're gonna watch a whole season of this, and people will still be by her side at the end of this.
She opens her mouth, I'm like, Jen, shut up! You already pled guilty. Like, and just knowing that she bold-faced, like, that's the thing with me and liars. Like, that's why they.
She also popped up at BravoCon. Okay, Philly Diva can attest.
That was the crazy thing. People are sending me messages. So I'm kicking it with Your Moms Are Watching and a couple of her friends. Shout out to you for getting me some tickets.
Your Moms Are Watching did her big one with that.
Your Moms Are Watching hit me up. Lord Jesus. I got the mini diva. Yeah, I got the mini diva who loves the camera. So Your Moms Are Watching, and her friends we're out, and somebody sent me like, Jen Shah is here. And I'm like, do you follow RHOBH? And I'm like, yes. So I don't know if you guys watch Legends. Legendary, excuse me, on HBO Max, Legendary. So RHOBH was from the House of Teach. Like, okay. Yeah. Anyway, he's a big in the ballroom scene. So she was with him and a couple other people, but she was absolutely here. And I got the tea from Zach. It was that Bravo did disinvite her. But they did not cancel everything that was already paid for. She was still paid for, she was still paid. Like that, like there was other stuff that was going on. So yes,
that's why
here's
she
a
said
scandalo.
She was disinvited. Like, here's the thing: if I invite you to my party, and I've already paid for your Sprinter van, and I've already paid your stipend, but I say no, you can't come, and you're not doing any panels. Are you really disinvited?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't cancel the other stuff for me not to get there.
But my question is, what is the difference between Jen and Teresa? That's what I'm always
I'm glad you asked that. Okay,
I got it.
I'll let you take it.
Yeah. School me, please. I want to go to class.
Jen knew exactly what she was doing, right? Jen orchestrated this whole thing. Teresa, I really believe in my heart that Teresa really did not know. She trusted Joe, and I think that she got caught up and she was collateral damage.
Okay.
And she went to jail.
And she was not financially and mentally responsible enough to sign those papers that said she owed this amount of money to this bank.
And we're talking about owing money to bank versus like taking money from seniors. Like the scope of their scams are so different. And I see, and that's why I said I'm glad you asked that, because I see it all the time. And I'm like, they are not comparable to me. Like someone signing off about like misappropriating their funds versus someone being okay and masterminding and running this whole thing that takes money allegedly. I guess, do we have to say allegedly if she said she's guilty?
I mean, she said she was guilty. She did do it.
Guilty. So someone running this whole mastermind thing to take money for seniors, to me, are vastly different.
They're vastly different.
And when you look back at her previous work, she had been working for these MLMs, right? The one of the companies that was already scamming, right? she was upset that she didn't win the trip to Mexico. And so she switched and started her own company doing the same thing, knowing that she was defrauding and scamming. I think Teresa,
the part that
bless her
bothers
heart,
me though
we
is
even think she could read beyond
Right.
a mom and a recipe book season 1.
Not miss ingredients.
Me personally, I didn't.
And I personally, as particularly a Black woman, I am very insulted by the fact that anytime Jen does something negative or has something with negative consequences, suddenly it's because I'm dark, it's because I'm a minority. She only identifies, and first of all, girl, you're Asian, you're not Black. So just because your husband is Black and your kids are Black does not mean you identify with our struggle. But like suddenly she calls upon that whenever she wants to like hone in on or dismiss something negative. Like she's crazy at a party and screaming at people and breaking stuff, but like, oh, it's only because I'm Black they say I'm aggressive, or because I'm a minority. Like that's not how this works. And so for her to also like hone in, and because I see her liking the comments where people are saying like, oh, it's because she's a minority and Teresa isn't. Like that's not it at all, girl. It's like you took money from seniors. Teresa didn't help someone not get paid. Like it's like, please don't hone in on your Blackness on this one. And always use, and she's the typical example of someone who uses the race card, and that drives me insane.
She's a person of color. She's not a Black woman, and there's the difference.
I don't watch Jersey, and I felt like it was a complexion for protection type of situation. Again, from my point of view, it's like all y'all is thieves. Whether you stole from the bank, whether you misappropriated funds, whether you knew what you was doing, you're a thief. And it's like we don't have it's no rich women that y'all can find that's just like making their money. Like we have to watch the thieves. And then again, why does Teresa get a spinoff about it? But then it's just, oh, we're done. We're disengaging with Jen.
Because there's nuances though.
We also had to suffer through that year and a half that Teresa was in jail of Jersey as the fans. Remember the season with the twins and like the girl.
No, but Teresa was in there because she was in jail.
No, Teresa was on that season. They waited to start shooting.
They
took a year
off.
She came back.
And I understand thievery or whatever, but I also know this isn't a justification or a complexion thing. When you look at the charges, right, you know that Teresa went to jail for signing documents she did not read. Like that, that is like, it's very blatant. Come on now.
Okay. I wasn't versed, so I don't watch Jersey.
No, it's a valid question because I see it all the time.
Paid the time and then had to go to jail for it, right? Unlike a lot of people who take deals, they did a lot of fraud. She went to jail for a year and a half, right? And then Joe did it. She paid her time, whatever, right? It's embarrassing, but I just feel like with Teresa, the math didn't math. Like she didn't math. I know she didn't math, right? And then when she came out of it, she had to come out of it like smarter, knowing that Joe was going to be deported, knowing that she lost her mother, like start from scratch, and she is always going to be prostitution whore, engaged 9 times, flip the table, right? Unlike Jen Shah, who came in and said, "I'm Shamazing, I've got a shot squad," and you see all this, right? Because Teresa was an actual housewife, so she could actually say, I really don't make any money. Like I'm really dependent with my daughters on these dance classes with my husband. Unlike Jen Shah, who said, this is what I do. People don't really know what I do. I do like more or whatever.
Right. So I have to say that the thing that bugs me. Yes, thank you. I have to say the thing that bugs me as well, overall with Bravo, because I mean, I watch it because I love the rich ladies too. But I think that Bravo fans, some of them really will dismiss negative actions if the person has enough money. So Jen has enough money, so they'll dismiss it. So I feel like also bring it back to Beverly Hills, Kathy has enough money. So Kathy can do no wrong. Part of it is because they hate Kyle. So Kathy can do no wrong as long as it's opposite of Kyle. But a lot of it too also is because she has that money, so they're willing to dismiss it. So I want to talk about the Renna, Kyle, Kathy of it all. I'm going to kick it off with Brie and LP. Like, what do you guys think about that situation? And I'll leave it open for you guys to take it wherever you want to take it. If you want to
Brie looks like, girl, like this person's dead.
Where
did it even start?
I don't know if I might be like alone, and I'm okay with it, but like I might need somebody to explain it to me like I'm 5, but I really feel like I rewatched part 3 yesterday in preparation for this, and I'm confused at the Kathy of it all, because I was like, everyone was team Kathy at the beginning. She was crazy as hell. Who is hunky dory? Like, it's very adorable. But like now it's come out that she said these awful things in Aspen. It's somehow spun around to it being Kyle's fault. And it seems to me, and again, I might be by myself, but it kind of seems to me like Kathy like has a career in gaslighting. Like she all of a sudden,
You're
like,
not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you're
sister.
never alone.
you
Period.
can see Kyle like all of a sudden be like, wait, what? How is that? How did I? And then all of a sudden Kyle's like, you're right, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what just happened?
Well, and it's
What you're seeing is Big Kathy speak through Kathy.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I feel like
And-
Kathy
So I'm
speaks
going to have LP go, and then
Yeah, I'm sorry.
bring
Go
it
ahead.
to-
Go ahead.
Oh, no,
No,
worries.
that's okay. And then bring it to Shataiya, and then we'll
yeah.
Lauren and
I
Reida,
don't.
yeah.
I think this is not like a first for Kathy Hilton either, right? Like you hear about these long gaps in her relationships with her sisters, both Kim and Kyle, and I get the sense that this is a bit of her MO in her relationships, where if something happens and she doesn't feel like it went her way, or she didn't like the way that you defended her or didn't defend her, it becomes your fault. She cuts you out of her life. She encourages her daughters even to get on social media and poke at their aunt. Like it feels like this is old hat for Kathy, and we're witnessing this time.
I agree. Shataiya?
Okay, before I say this, does anyone have a horrible relationship with their sister? Anybody? Show of hands. Okay, so do I. I don't talk.
I have
to
I have a great with one, and I have it's complicated with another.
Okay,
I think
I
those
don't
of us
talk
in
to-
it's complicated get it.
I don't talk to any of my sisters. I have 3. I just don't talk to them at all. So coming in and watching this was like triggering for me, seeing Kyle like cry on the couch and like, why is it my fault? And I don't like Kathy, okay? And I know that little woke stan lady said exactly what I've been saying all summer. I mean, all summer. How can one trust Kathy Hilton when she did what she did to her daughter? What mother watches their daughter be essentially kidnapped, do nothing, sent to Utah, and when the YouTube documentary comes on, oh, I don't remember that. Huh?
Well, and I do have to pause to say that, like, not just once, because I do understand those programs and they're for tough kids and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But the fact that she went to one, was abused, came back, and then they still sent her to another one,
Yes.
that's a problem for me. That is
Yes.
a problem for me.
Then you watch how she treated Paris on the Peacock show, Paris getting married or something. Listen, Kathy's a monster, okay? The whole hunky-dory thing and people getting to like her, she doesn't know anything. She has to carry around a fan and like whatever. The lady, it's all a joke. She's a joke and it's all an act. And I think that Kyle and Kim were good. And then as soon as something happens with Kyle and Kim runs and goes to Kathy because she knows Kathy's going to take up for her. And I think it's been that way for a very long time. And I think that everyone around Kyle, except for her nuclear family, they will go against Kyle if Kathy says so. So I think that Kyle does not want to be shut out, so she wants it to be okay. The reason I don't think Kyle said anything when Lisa was going after her sister is because she feels that way. I wouldn't take up for my sister either. I think that she feels that way, but she does not want to be the one to say it because it makes her look bad.
And then it's hard to cover that relationship, and to your point, feel like she can still be included in the larger aspect of her family, because family means a lot to Kyle. That's very clear.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Kyle. Yeah, family is her number one. Stephanie?
Yes, I agree. I think as far as the situation, I feel like I'm more on Kathy's side, but I definitely never believed the hunky-dory of it all last season. I knew it was an act, because if you look on previous seasons, Kathy is very clear-headed, very level-headed, very stern.
She told Kim not wear that.
Right?
Thank you.
She knows what's up. So I never believed the whole hunky-dory of it all. But I feel like the problem with Kyle is like you said, she wants to be included in everything. I feel like she has these issues with her sisters, and so that she relies on her friends, and her friends are her family, and that's why she's not sticking up for Kathy, because she really feels like Lisa and Erica and Teddy and all of them are closer to her as her, like, I feel like she's closer to them than she ever will be with her sisters. But the fact that she won't just say it and won't say that, like, hey, I'm having issues with my sisters. I don't trust them. I'm closer with my friends. And that's just what it is. She like keeps, like, at the reunion, she kept saying, like, I want everything to be fine with my family. And I'm like, obviously you don't, because if you wanted everything to be fine with your family, you would stick up for your family. But she doesn't want to be fine with her family. She has a close relationship with her friends, and she won't just say it. So then Kathy is like, well, if you want us to be close, then stick up for me. And Kyle won't. So Kathy is like, okay, well, then I'm done. So I mean, like, you can't expect Kathy to be like loving and caring for you if you won't stick up for her. Just tell her the truth. Like, I don't trust you. You've hurt me. I don't want to be sisters, but I want to be included with the rest of my family. She can't say that. So
right.
then
I agree. And I think that, like,
into a deeper hole.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that, like, as Baby Gorgeous just reminded us recently, a friend to everyone is a friend to none. And that is so true. And that's what we see with Kyle. I think that's also why I've always kind of stuck up for Kyle, is because I see myself in her a lot. Like, I'm a crybaby. I used to try to be friends with everybody, but at some point you do have to learn. And then I also have to remind myself that she's like 20 years older than me. So if I've learned, she should learn. But at some point you do have to learn that you need to pick a side. And I get it. Like, I think she didn't defend Renna or didn't defend Kathy in that because she doesn't think that Renna was lying. And so she's not going to say, I thought you were, but you can't be on both sides. And honestly, she's going to get crap for it either way. So she needs to pick a side. Absolutely. But it's hard because if she did pick her friend's side, like, was like definitive, and I pick my friends, that F's up her family life for everybody, not just her, but her kids.
And that shouldn't be the case.
And that is so hard, and it shouldn't be the case. But I also get her wanting to pick her friends because her sister didn't talk to her for 10 years. 10 years because she didn't like something she did. Why am I going to pick the side of someone who is fine cutting me off for 10 years, you know?
I get that, but I also feel like, yes, Kathy is flawed. I'm just going to go with, number one, Kyle is an amazing producer. She has been producing the show for, I don't know how many years, since season 1. She's great at what she does. I don't have any sisters. I have a brother. I feel like it's complicated. But what I do know is, for Kyle, we know the backstory. Listen, we understand Big Kathy. We understand what she did ask of you. And I really get it. Like, you marry Hilton, really, how can you surpass that and all of that? But also, at the same time, your strained relationship with Kathy, besides your fucked up childhood, really stemmed from when Mauricio decided to break away from Sir Hilton's situation.
Yes, so excited about Mauricio's show coming out this week.
Right?
So
and I don't know the backstory. I don't know that level of income. I'm not there. I'm not level. But then they decided to come back together. And what I do think is that because of the age difference, and I think that their value systems are a little different, not saying one is better or worse, but for Kathy has that part of Big Kathy where she's like, these are your sisters, because Kathy, let's not kidding, and Kyle can attest, did help raise Kyle, right? So she didn't
Kathy say that? Didn't she leave the house? Like, isn't there a huge gap between them? And she left the house to get married when Kyle was still very young. And isn't that, like, to me, that's part of their problem?
They're 10
part
years
of it,
apart in
yes.
age.
But then when Kathy comes back, she's Kathy Hilton, right?
Right.
But I also feel like, yes, you could be like, I don't really like my sisters and I want that separation. And I'm Kyle, the producer. I'm giving tears instead of accountability, right? Like, tears. Maybe you did feel that way. What's even crazier is, I think Kyle at that reunion was waiting on Renna to show receipts. She wanted it out there, which is why she never said anything and decided to break down in tears. Nonetheless, if you
Lisa did show the receipts. Bravo cut it out because they weren't substantial. They proved nothing.
But if you feel that way and you're not close or whatever, then every E! News, Extra TV, every single one, when you talk about your niece Paris, stop talking about her, because what you have done is consistently banked off of Kathy for your entire career, for your entire Bravo career. And if you feel that type of way, right? I'm not saying it's wrong. Like maybe y'all just don't get along or whatever. Then don't say, why is it always on me? Why is it always on me? Because Paris could say, well, why is it always on me? Nikki Rothschild could say, well, why is it always on me? Because that's what you were talking about and you consistently talked about every single season. And what's even worse is if Kathy really didn't say those things, there are certain things where you're like, if she talks shit about me, if she was my sister and talked shit about me, I'd be like, lay it all out there. I've got rebuttals. But to say a slur, if Kathy didn't say it, then you would be like, my sister would never say something like that. Like that's not. But
I think that she does.
But she believes she
did.
did.
She does believe she said it because she said, I didn't hear it.
Right. Well, and I think she knows that their family history, like, let's speak, like, we know that Big Kathy from things that have been put out that she used to speak that way. We've heard footage of Kathy's children speaking that way. We've heard Paris and them speaking. So the idea that Kathy in the middle of those two would be the only people, like somehow her mom did it and her kids did it, but she doesn't talk that way.
But she doesn't.
So we're saying Kyle doesn't either?
But Kyle might
they
also.
They were raised in the same home, right?
Well,
Guess what?
they were raised in the
Kyle
same home, but you don't see footage of Kyle's children speaking like that. At least I've never seen footage of any of Kyle's children speaking like that. So it is possible to break curses. But anyways, but what I did want to ask though was, what did I want to ask? You said something and I was going to say something.
Was Anthony banking on the career, like banking on the
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, because I do think when the show first started, that is absolutely true. In the beginning, which let's remember was like 10 plus years ago at this point, she did bank on her. Right, she did bank on her, but I think since then Kyle has come into her own. And the only reason why Paris has started being put into the conversation again is because Paris started liking negative comments about Kyle on social media. So now, once again, everyone's commenting and asking Kyle about Paris. Well, Paris is liking all these negative comments.
And let's not sleep on who Mauricio's fucking family is. I'm sorry. If we think Kyle's a saint, we certainly know she's not.
Oh, I don't think she's a saint. Yeah.
Call a thing a thing.
Yeah.
Now,
no, I agree, Kristen.
But the thing with Paris is doing the same thing as her aunt is doing, and I hate to say, that she's going tit for tat. But if I see my auntie on TV saying, things about my mom, yeah, I'm gonna like negative comments.
Facts. Yeah.
Like and she's lucky I'm not tweeting negative comments and adding her about it and putting text messages out there. See, now this is why you're not coming to the wedding, bitch. Like,
no, for
there
sure.
are like Paris being mildly petty in response to. Remember when Kyle was on Watch What Happened? Garcelle was on Watch What Happened Live, and they asked her, "Who's closer? Who's closer to Kathy?
Twice.
Or twice?" And the facts of the matter is, Garcelle is closer to Kathy at this particular moment.
Yeah.
And, Kyle got in her feelings and was offended. And, I'm not saying that shouldn't have hurt her feelings. I would also be hurt if someone said they were closer to my sister than I am. But at the same time, you also do stuff and then are surprised when you get a reaction from your family. So you can't expect, I'm not saying Kathy's perfect. I'm not.
All.
Yeah. And I go back to like the main issue is that Kyle is trying to be okay with both sides. And you can't
she
be okay with both sides.
You gotta somebody gotta get cut off.
It makes everybody hate you because, and I get it because she loves her family. You can tell.
But Kyle,
like Brie and LP were saying, like she is a family person. So to her, having that core family is important. But at the same time, she probably knows that she said those words and she doesn't want to alienate her friends. And it's a tough situation to be in, but she has to pick a side at some point. Otherwise, both sides will keep being mad at her.
I feel like Kathy coming on the show was supposed to be some sort of, it feels like it was supposed to be some sort of apology, right? Because we want to say like, Kathy, Paris shouldn't be liking tweets, this, that, and the third, but then we never want to dig deep. Like, we don't know how much money it cost Rick Hilton when Mauricio broke their gentleman's deal. You know what I'm saying? We also don't know what trauma that stirred up inside
and Mauricio
of
has done very well since then.
But inside of Kathy and Rick's relationship, because you have to remember, Rick Hilton's family didn't leave him any money simply because of Kathy, because the dad felt like Rick could not control Kathy and she was only there. So
give us the tea.
Rick built up their real estate agency. I can't think of the name of it off of my head. He built that from nothing. He was left nothing from the Hilton family simply because of Kathy. So to be in a position, we don't know what that did to their marriage, to their family life. Listen, I didn't get this because of you. I stuck by you, and now your sister's stealing from us when it was supposed to be X, Y, and Z. And then Kathy wasn't a fan of what happened with Kim on the show and the whole limousine scene and everything. So I felt like this was supposed to be like an I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Which is why I feel like Kathy was so hurt by it. But I also feel like maybe Kathy does have her degree in gaslighting, but so does Kyle. Kyle started working on those tears the minute Kathy's ass hit that seat. Okay. And then Kathy sat there and said, I put things in my head. I'm embarrassed that I put things in my head and then reacted on it. And then Kyle's response was, how is it my fault? And it's like, girl, I literally just said I'm taking the responsibility.
I thought I was the only person. No, she said something. She did say something else, and then Kyle turned around and said, "Is that my fault too?"
She did
say that.
Like, oh, maybe,
and she said, "No, baby, I'm not saying that."
I was gonna say she did put that part in there where she was like, "Well, maybe it's me because I expected too much from Kyle." Like, you are blaming Kyle without saying you're blaming Kyle. So yes, Kyle's gonna be like, "Oh, it's my fault."
I don't really feel like that's blaming Kyle if you say, because I do this horribly, right? Expectation versus reality. Right?
Like, as a Pisces, so do I.
What's gonna happen is like I'm like daydreaming. I'm like really thinking like, oh well, it's gonna go like this. Like obviously they're gonna like think that way. We're gonna like connect and we're gonna have.
And then it doesn't happen how you daydreamed it, and you're like,
I definitely.
Then it happens, and you're like,
I'm
really disappointed. You can't be disappointed at the other person. You can only be disappointed at yourself. You made that up in your head. You made that up.
But I think Kyle also takes it on personally. Well, I think she also knows that even if her sister says that behind closed doors, her sister's blaming her. I think she knows what happens behind closed doors. And I do, a part of also why I give her a little bit more doorways. I'm a crybaby. I cry instantly. Like I can't help it. If I'm angry, I'm gonna cry. If I'm sad, I'm cry. If I want to murder you, I cry first. Like I cry. So I get her tears. And then with family, like I am the most rational person. But if you include my family in the situation, like instant, like emotions are up 10 levels. And I'm still that rational person, but my emotions are so much more heightened because we're talking about family. Right. I think that like I get her being like those instant tears that people get her on about is because she knows the destruction. She knows the fallout. Like we're sitting here watching two sisters talking. She's thinking about her kids and her nieces and nephews and how they're best friends. But now you have their moms going at it. Like she's thinking of the full fallout of everything. I think
because the last time they fell out, Mauricio stole clients, and then Kyle wrote the show. I'm not saying that Kyle shouldn't have done her stuff artistically, but what I'm saying is it feels like in the Kathy Kyle situation, we always say, oh, Kathy didn't talk to Kyle. Kathy didn't talk to Kyle. And it's like, okay, but are we acknowledging the things that Kyle also did to make her not want to be spoken to?
I get that. For me, it's hard because even with the whole defending your sisters, I have one sister who like, even if I heard her say that slur, if she on camera said, I didn't say that, you are lying, I'd be like, she didn't say that, you're lying, because she is my sister. But I also have sisters where I'd be like, because I'm not going to defend.
If that's what you heard.
Put out there that you're lying when I know, like, that's just how it is sometimes with sisters and friends in general. We all have those friends where no matter what, in public, I've got your back, even if behind closed doors. I'm telling you what's up.
Maybe
and then those friends in public where I'm not putting my reputation on the line for you. LP, you had your hand up, and then we'll go to Shataiya because I know you have something.
I was gonna say, I don't think I have a whole lot of sympathy for Kyle, to be honest, because she's made a career out of talking about the Hilton name, right? Like that was season 1, episode 1 was how she's famous. She was a child star. Oh, and I'm related to the Hiltons. And the first time Kyle Richard ever entered my consciousness was watching an True Hollywood Story on the Hiltons.
On the Hiltons.
15 years ago. And she was the key witness talking about, like, her interviews took up more airtime than anything on that thing because she was digging in and talking about her family back when she was a nobody and nobody knew her name, right? She's been talking about her family in a negative or positive light or in a neutral light for 15 years. And so I could understand how you might be tired of that as Kathy.
Well, remember they pitched that show. It was it was Kyle, Kim, and Kathy. They pitched that show. Bravo didn't pick it up. Then Bravo circled back to them when they did Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is
I would
why
love a show of just the three of them.
Season 1 was so heavy on the Hilton name because Kyle, in her brain, it felt like she was trying to be like, oh, y'all didn't pick it up, but if I catapult into this, y'all will.
Yeah. Well, the sisters are definitely a topic we can talk about forever. But I'm going to have Shataiya say what you were going to say, and then I know Reida had something to say as well, and then we'll wrap it up by talking about you know who.
Oh,
Shataiya.
I was just gonna say when you were talking about this, the sister that you would take up for and the sister that you wouldn't take up for. If my sister said anything like that, I'm not taking up for either one of them. I don't even care if we were close or not. Like my consciousness, like my moral, like I just can't.
There it is.
Can't do it.
Your value system.
That's true, and I do have to say the sister that I would stick up for would never say something like that. That's part of why we're so close. She would never say something like that. Yeah. Okay, Reida.
I was just gonna say, in the whole grand scheme of things, I think we hit the nail on the head. Kyle doesn't want to like choose a side, basically, and I also think that she sees her career and her friends as like the numero uno thing in her life, and she just doesn't want to say it because that's literally like the bread and the butter. As Lauren said, she's been producing this mess since like the very beginning. This is like her baby. She's been on this show since season 1. And I mean to tell you, I don't care what Rinna's done. She's not going to let anybody take it away from her. So she's not going to, I don't think she really cares that Rinna said all of this. I know she's playing like it, but I don't think she really cares because this is her show. This is her thing. And I know it was probably, like y'all said, an olive branch to Kathy, or we're saying sorry or whatever, either way, however you want to look at it. But I just think she's, as much as she screams about family, I think she's willing to let it like all go. Now she's going to cry the whole way there, but she's going to let the whole thing blow up.
Cry all the way to the bank.
Exactly, to the bank. I don't think she will cry about it the whole time. I'm not saying she won't. She will garner sympathy and try to get sympathy the whole entire time. But what I'm saying is when it rubber meets the road, she is going to go where the dollar signs are going. And she knows that the well is dry with the Hiltons and that the money is with her husband and her family and that show and those friends, period.
Okay,
I agree.
One more thing.
Okay.
What Reida said is absolutely true. But if it was not true, if it wasn't true, I think the whole thing is that there's a lack of communication, right? There's a lack of a backbone when it comes to Kyle. And like you said, if the bread and butter is with your nuclear family, cut the other ones off. If they're hurting you so much, cut them off and move on. You cannot be stuck in between two because it's not fun anymore.
Has Kyle even ever talked about being like in therapy? Because I only say that where I'm like fighting.
No, she needs it.
She's been in therapy with her and Teddy.
Okay. I tried. All right, so Kristen, she has been in therapy.
Kristen, shut up.
And
it's making a joke.
Kyle,
it's not her.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Lauren.
Right. You're absolutely right, Lauren. She definitely needs it. And I would also say, like, I feel as though like the thing is, at the end of the day, she needs to pick a side, and she's not picking a side.
You can't do that if you're a people pleaser, though, because you want people to like you. You don't want people to think.
But she is really picking a side, though. Like, I mean, she's not, but she is.
And I do think that when the show started, like you guys were saying, I do think it was an apology to Kathy. And I think she was hoping, because last season was great. Even if some of us, like Stephanie said, like, I was not bamboozled by Hunky Dory. Like, I was like, what's up? But at least, like, I got what she was doing and it was fine. It was fun, yeah. She was a fine friend of, and I think that it helped the relationship, and it did what Kyle was hoping she was doing. What I don't think she imagined was that this blow up was going to happen and that Rinna was going to take it to the place Rinna took it. Because if Rinna hadn't put all of that out there, it never would have been a thing, and it would have been just another fun season of Fun Kathy, because it's not on film, it's not anywhere. They would have glossed over it. But Rinna really did this, and on some level, I think that Kyle is happy. Yes, and on some level, I think that Kyle is happy, like what she said to Erica. I'm glad other people can see it, because I don't also think that she thought the hunky-dory thing would work so well that everyone would suddenly think that Kathy is some saint, and Kyle's like, wait,
right? Because like we've seen you on reality shows before with the family.
So I do think on some level, even if Kyle would never admit it, I think that she wanted everyone to like Kathy, but I don't think she expected
to see the dark side of Kathy.
To the level of people loving Kathy.
Yeah, she didn't want
the
people
level
to
of them
love
loving Kathy over Kyle, that she thought, if anything, she thought people would like Kathy and love Kyle too. But, and you know what, last season, that's kind of what happened. This season, vastly different. That's due to Rinna. I don't want to spend a lot of time on Rinna, so I just want to quickly touch base on the Rinna of it all. My piece to the Rinna is that I think, and why I've always been able to kind of like Rinna, despite it all, is I feel like she views the show as a job. I feel like she views her role as the villain, and she plays that up. And to me, it's always been kind of funny, but I think she went too far this season, both on social media and in person. And it was no longer like an enjoyable villain. It was like a villain, and it's too much.
It's villain. It's not Kenya anymore.
That's my Rinna of it all. So yes.
I can be fast and done.
Yes.
This is what pissed me off about Rinna. Not only is she like a villain, she's naturally going to do it. She already knew what she was doing. She's been doing it since she first got on the show. But coming from a person who, my mom died in 2020, grieving is so fucking weird. It's so horrible. But I would never, because like Sutton said, she is always on a soap opera. She's always in Melrose Place. What her behavior and then using Lois as almost like a justification or an excuse, fuck you, Rinna. And I said it. Fuck you. And saying, why are you being aggressive to Garcelle? Just say you don't want Garcelle on the show. Just be very clear about it. I don't fuck with you. I was in that audience. I was up close and a booer. And I stood him beside it 100%, 10 toes down. Fuck you, Lisa Rinna. I said it. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that Lisa Rinna, like you said, plays the role. She's always Billy. It's always a soap opera. We're always on days. But this season we crossed the line, and I feel like that crossing of the line was the desperation. The prior seasons, we were able to get Lisa Rinna, the bully, who was locked into a contract. Okay. This season, as you're up on renewal and you're looking at your bills, whatever they may be, and you know that you need this check, it clocks into, I'm going to do whatever I can do to secure the bag. And I feel like that's what we witnessed, and that was the dark side of it all. She hasn't been Billy on days for a minute. She hasn't also used this platform to launch anything successful quite like Dorit. We've seen you advertise Depends. We've seen you on HSN. We've seen you with Lips. And now we're seeing you with this white label Rosé. You have not successfully been able to use this platform to create another one. Therefore, if this platform is gone, you're Harry Hamlin's wife again. And them Hallmark checks ain't going to keep the Canada Island and this house and. So I feel like the OJs, people will do horrible things for the money of it all. And I feel like this is exactly what we've witnessed. And I feel like, again, NBC needs to create a line, draw a line in the sand, and we need to stand on that. I don't care how desperate you are. What we saw on our TV and on our social media should never cross our platform again under the guise of entertainment. Like,
Amen.
Period.
Yeah, it was very difficult to watch, because here's my opinion with Rinna. Rinna has been doing the same thing for the last 8 years, consistently doing the same thing for the last 8 years. And the main thing that has changed is Twitter has evolved and Instagram is now here. And everything she has done, she has now taken it from in front of our camera to we're living it in real time in front of us. So we are now getting a different reaction. It was weird and funny and ha-ha villain. You're just doing a character when it's on TV. But when I have to sit here and go through this in my already timeline, I react to it differently now. And I think a lot of us are just reacting differently because she is putting so much out there. Like,
That's a really interesting point.
Much.
I think the only people who really enjoyed this season were the people who only watch the shows and the people who are not tapped into social media. Those of us who are tapped in on Instagram or Twitter, we're exhausted because the season started so long ago. This season started for us while they were still taping Aspen, because that's when all the things
that's almost
over it.
Yeah, it's about a year.
Yeah, that was like January, February. This has been going on almost a year.
Yeah, they should not allow them to post on social media. It's just not funny.
Bring back the blog.
Bring back the blog.
Yeah, I don't like it.
All right, Shataiya, what's your run of it all?
Well, the lady's a bad villain. Like in the beginning, it was fun. It's not fun no more. She ain't doing it right, you know. Like you said, she's desperate. She, you know, I think when people's houses are dirty.
Say it.
We don't take showers.
You know, it's just like their lives are chaos. I think she need to get in there and we need to call
what she's
TLC.
feeling on the inside is showing on the outside.
Right. We need to call TLC, call the hoarder people, and let's do an episode on Reida and Harry Hamlin's house.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
They never film inside.
Lisa, does this bring you joy? No? Okay, throw it away.
Throw it away.
Stephanie.
I feel like Lisa did her job for many of the seasons as a villain. When she got too much for me is when the Fox Force 5 joined up and they took down Lisa Vanderpump while she was grieving. Mm-hmm. That was like when it like really hit me that like, oh wow, they're going a little too far. And then it just kept getting darker from there. Mm-hmm. She has like really, her and Dorit have really nasty microaggressions against Garcelle, and I feel like Garcelle gives them too many passes because I would never be friends with Dorit and Lisa again after the way they've been treating Garcelle. And I just feel like Lisa just is very dark. I feel like the whole little group is, but like I feel like Lisa, she wants to go there. She wants it to be nasty. She knows she has fans that enjoy it.
She flipped us the bird.
Yeah.
Hard.
There you go.
But she doesn't know how to
Stephanie,
be nasty
I agree with you.
People.
I agree with you, especially with the microaggressions. Like sometimes the way that Dorit and Rinna do or say things, like it just makes me want to get like ratatata Candace on them. Like I need them.
Like not today.
Is so poised and so like wonderful with them, and that's who you need. But you need like not today, Nick, to like really put them in place sometimes.
Because
can we
take it too far for too long.
Factor, and that's Soiree. Like you were Cherie, you were supposed to be there. You were supposed to ride for Garcelle. Now you're posting fucking Diana. I'm sorry to Subway.
What kind of friend?
That's kind of why I like the idea of Cynthia joining the cast, though, because Cynthia is level-headed. Cynthia is poised, but Cynthia will only take so much. And honestly, part of the reason I think why Garcelle takes so much is because Garcelle is aware of her career that she's trying to build, which of course now Cynthia's trying to build it, so she wouldn't actually be as much help. But prior to trying to have an acting career, Cynthia would be perfect to add to that cast.
You know who's perfect to add to that cast? Vivica A. Fox.
Ooh. Oh, girl.
Because
her about neck and ankle and whatever. Oh, Lord.
That is very, that's true.
That is
in there snatching Botox, okay?
They won't. Oh, God.
Reida.
I mean, honestly, I really love them to throw a true wrench in it and bring in David's new wife, Catherine. What's her face?
Hepburn.
No, she can sing.
Oh wait, why am I saying Hepburn?
Yeah, she was American Idol.
American Idol? How does that throw a wrench?
She's got the Heather Dubrow uppityness. She's got the coin.
Because it's like the Slade to OC. It's like throwing Slade back in the OC to throw David Foster and his new wife back in.
Replace Diana. Give us a Catherine. And like, let's go.
True.
Yeah.
Reida.
I think
for me with Rinna, I've never been a Rinna fan, really. Honestly, I'll be frank. So this season for me was like, hello, did y'all not see where this was going? Like,
you feel validated now that we're all seeing what you saw?
Yes, she's been. As someone who has watched soap operas their entire life, when she got on the show, I was like, oh, I know where this is headed. Because it went literally like the way a soap opera went. She's 8 years in. That's about the time when they all implode and folks have to go on a pause or they get killed off. So let me just say they can go ahead allegedly and on that with her contract because she's done too much. She is the definition of doing too much in every space she is in. And I think everybody's very tired. We're very tired.
Exhausted.
To Kristen's point, to everyone's point, we've just been seeing this for too long and she's not doing, while I've never been a fan, she was doing certain things in the earlier seasons that I'm like, okay, fine. Like I get it. There has to be drama. But I'm just saying we're past the point of when we're taking stuff that wasn't filmed and using it as plot line and I can't in storyline. And this is where in the famous last words that I always hear on TikTok to all the Black aunties, this is not what we're going to do. This is not what we're doing.
What we're not going to do.
This is what we're not going to do.
What we're not going to do.
We're all very
This is
tired.
what we not going to do. See,
Yes.
And then Brie and LP.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I fully agree with what Kristen said about it's like, she was on TV, right? Like having this on TV and she was playing a character and we're used to ingesting, media through the television and looking at through the lens of, is it real? Is it fake? Right? Like that's normal for us, but social media is supposed to be a direct connection with not the personality or the talent, but with the person, right? So when we start to see through Twitter and Instagram and all other platforms that she's still playing this character, it starts to come across that's who she is, right? I don't think I think we're all fine with Rinna playing a character. That's fine. But when it starts to bleed over and feel a little too close to real life because it's coming across through social media and other platforms that's who she is, now we take issue with that because we don't want a real villain, right? We don't want somebody that's actually be out there trying to destroy lives.
Right.
That doesn't fit well with us, right? But the idea that she's playing that role on TV, that's fine, right? And so I think it's that blend that is starting to happen that's making a lot of Bravo watchers very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree. She did it to herself. She poured it into social media so it became her. It wasn't like, oh, haha, she's playing a character, just trying to bring the drama. It's like, oh no, you're just that awful. And now
is that her? Because the way she turned on Denise was
that's
her.
the point, is that now it makes us feel like that's her.
Yeah.
Well, I have had so much fun talking about this with you all. Like I don't know what dream I had when I thought we would make this 45 minutes because it's impossible. It's impossible. So as we close it out, I'm just going to have you guys say your name, where you're from, and then also if you would keep the cast the same or get rid of anybody. Get rid of or keep anybody. So let's start with Reida.
I'm Reida. Again, I'm from right outside, or not from, I live currently right outside of Charleston, South Carolina. And keeping the cast, no, I would not keep the cast the way that it is right now. I'm not going to say who I would get rid of per se, other than the obvious, but
you can tell us. You're amongst friends. Who would you get rid of?
I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with saying I want to get rid of Rinna because I do feel like she's drama, but I would get rid of her and try to finesse the cast another way to create drama in another way.
Good. I like that. Shataiya.
Okay. So I am, what am I supposed to say? Shataiya.
Just where they can find you.
Oh, yes.
And what you think of, what cast shakeup you want.
Okay. Sincerely _Shataiya on Instagram. I am from New Jersey. So I'm probably 10 minutes away from our girl, Philly Diva. And Lisa Rinna has to go. She's got to go. Jeide, I think her time's up. I'm kind of leaning towards Erica too. I'm just so tired of the same. Maybe Erica could go to Kyle said, I want Kathy to come back. I do. I don't like her, but I would like her to come back as a friend of, because I think that there's more work to be done. I'll just leave it that.
I like that. Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie from Stephen Key TV, and you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. I agree with Shataiya. I think Reida has to go. Dorit definitely has to go. And I kind of feel like Erica has to go, unless they bring in someone that can kind of bring in some drama. If they can't, then you can keep Erica, even though I don't like her. But if not, then if they can replace her, then Erica, Reida, and Dorit can go.
I like that. Elle?
I'm Elle. You can find me on Housewives and Chit Chat on Instagram and TikTok, or House of Murasaki on Instagram. Oh no.
Oh.
On Instagram and TikTok. My show House of Murasaki will be premiering Tuesday, November 1st on Nosy Bystanders TV on Roku. All of that is in my website. I would get rid of Erica. I would make Dorit a friend of. I would love to see Lisa stay so that we could see a takedown season. And then I would bring in a person who could kind of help push that along. So I know Kimora Lee Simmons was in talk, and I feel like she has enough neck, you know what I mean, to get with the girlies. But I would take away all of Rena's crutches. So if Erica's not there, if Dorit isn't there, Kyle and Reida already have cracks, so I think that would fall. And I would just love to see a Reida takedown before she leaves.
It's like Power Rangers. That's a good idea.
You're right? Yeah. Kristen.
Hi, you can find me on Philly.diva on Instagram and TikTok. I would definitely get rid of Dorit and Erica. They can make appearances like Teddy does. Like, they don't need full-time stories. They really don't have storylines. So I'm not believing what you're selling. I think that Reida should get one of these year-to-year contracts like the NBA players do when they get to a certain, period. And then that's just what we're dealing with. You get a year-to-year, and you may get renewed as a friend of, or you may get some scenes. Like, there is nothing guaranteed, and you'll get paid per episode. And that is it. Because she needs to be taken down. She needs to be taken down. And I'm pretty sure Kathy won't film unless Reida's gone. So I think that's the only way we can work that out. Like, they won't film together, but she films. And I don't know who she would film with, because that's the thing. Like, if we're getting rid of Erica and Dorit, because really they don't have a storyline other than Reida, who would Reida film with? Because she has to make up with Kyle. We know her and Crystal really can't stand each other behind the scenes. So
she hates Sutton.
Yeah, she hates Sutton. So who is she really going to film with? That then lies the other question. How are we going to bring Reida back?
That's true.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Anybody, like if I can bring anybody in, like I said, I love Vivica, but I think Kimora Lee Simmons is more affluent, fits in much better with the Beverly Hills lifestyle, lives in Beverly Hills. Like, the money's there. Oh, wait a minute. Is she getting a divorce from her husband? Oh, we're gonna put a pause on that one. Cause that's good.
Now you with me. We see each other now, right?
That's a good one.
All right, Brie LP.
Take that back. Perfect for Beverly Hills.
We're Brie and LP with Boy Meets Bravo podcast out of Atlanta. You can find us online at boymeetsbravo.com or at Boy Meets Bravo on Instagram and Twitter. Who would you kick off?
There's no question in my mind. I would get rid of Dorit. Yeah. Boring. And I am on with Elle. I think the idea of like kicking the crutches out from underneath Reida and kind of watching her slowly fall is going to be really satisfying. So I don't know that I'm getting rid of Reida yet, but I'm taking her power away, and I'm putting someone in her place that can kind of align and be on the ally team of Garcelle, Sutton, Crystal.
With that,
I don't
and
know
then
who that is, but
we'll find it. Stay tuned.
I don't know. I don't, this season was very long. I'm not going to lie. Like well, as we were talking about it, like I remembered the bits of it, but all together, it all seemed to like float away. At the end of it, I would certainly get rid of Dorit. I don't even know if I would want her to be a friend of. Like, I just don't think I would miss her at all.
Yeah.
And again, I'd be down for an ally to kind of beef up the Team Garcelle and see what that looks like.
I'm with you there, Lauren.
Okay, so I'm Lauren, Bravo fan, and you can find me at Lauren_Isa_magic on TikTok. And I was thinking about it, like, as everyone was talking, and I think that if they're going to continue to make these seasons as long as they are, I would like the beginning of it to be like a Rinna takedown. So, of course, we would go ahead and cut Dorit and Erica, because what are they giving? I would want to throw in a Camille Grammer pause. What's some Lisa Vanderpump pop-ups, right? For this demise. In fact, maybe they should all be there. I think a great replacement, someone I would add to the cast as I got rid of Rinna and Dorit and Erica, is I would do a swap. I would actually bring in MJ from Shaws of Sunset with her husband, Tommy. And I would see what that would bring in. I think that could be a little fun.
Yes.
It's not a Bravo level.
Yes. No, I love that.
That's good.
You know who I forgot was even on the show is Diana.
I was literally about to say, I love how nobody mentioned her.
On purpose, because we
It felt like we all knew she wasn't coming back. So
she's not coming back.
Why waste our
So
votes
for
now?
me,
right.
I feel like I love, by the way, the idea of Kimora coming back, because I watched her show when she had her show. And I love her back. I'd be interested to see like where she would fall on there. I think we can get rid of Dorit. She doesn't really bring a lot. And I know I sound like a bad fan, but I've been saying all season, I think Kyle should be a friend of, because I just feel like she's been on the show for so long. And no one likes seeing her in the drama anymore. It just makes her look worse. But I love fun Kyle. Like, I want her to pop in, be fun, pop out.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't want her gone.
Girls Trip Kyle.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I just want fun Kyle. And I don't think she needs to be there. It's not because I dislike her. It's because I don't want to see her in the mess. Like, we're kind of over it. We want her to be evolved past it. So I want her to be a friend of. I'm okay with Erica staying, because I do still, because I was a fan before, I do want to see if she has a redemption. Like, I want to see if she is giving us a true villain arch, like from Game of Thrones, where like you liked him, then you hated him. Then at the end, you're like, yeah, he saved her. So like, I want to see if Erica's going to give us that redemption. I don't really care if Rinna gives us a redemption or not, because I've never really felt like she's fully in it. So she can leave or she can stay and we can watch a takedown. I'm good either way on that. And then I definitely Crystal and Sutton have to stay. I love Garcelle, but I've never thought of Garcelle as being long-term on the show. I really thought she would do what she's done, which is come back, have us all love her, have us help her career. And then I figured she'd bounce, because as they say, if you stay long enough, you become the villain. Like, I want her to leave while people are chanting her name in praise. I don't want her in another season where she's able to be dragged down. Like, I think she should, honestly, I think she should bounce now and stay as a beloved housewife. Because even this season, I feel like there were more inklings of like, well, she's not that great. Well, she does self-produce. Like, the writing is on the wall that, especially if the producers want to tap into that they can make her not be as popular. And I don't want that for her. So for that reason alone, I would say Garcelle should leave. But if she stays, I'd love it too. But that's my opinions. So we will see what happens next time. Thank you all so much for joining.
Random Meghan Markle. She's semi-close to the zip code if she wanted to join
we'll see Meghan pop up.
Lauren is living on the edge. I know that's right.
I'm just saying.
Well,
I mean, the queen did down.
I'm actually excited because the next recap is going to be what I think is the best show on Bravo, Married to Medicine. They are on their finale now, so you will all be invited again so we can recap that season, because I feel like that season should be longer. I feel like everyone should watch that show. I love Married to Medicine.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that recap. But thank you all for joining me for this recap, and I will see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
While I kick back, I roll one with you by my side.